Many people feel that they should read one book over and over again versus finding a new book and finding a new direction and reading a different kind of a book on the same subject. I, however, desist and I don't think that is true. Many people say that if you're not enjoying a book, you should stop reading it. I don't agree with that philosophy either, because I feel even the worst book you'll ever read will leave you with something. And when I say something, let's assume it leaves you with a 0.01% of a change in your life, which will translate. Let's assume you have a 0.01% deviation from your life scope, okay? Over some period of time, and with the biases which exist in our mindset, I think that 0.01% can change your entire spectrum. On an average, I feel when I read a book, my world adds. It adds to my overall understanding of the world. Now, whether it's a book like Secret History, which is a fictional book about these four people who are studying Greek in a very difficult to get into school, and the professor is a very strange man, and they're studying Greek philosophy and the Greek language. Or if it's a book on how to be obsessed or be average by Grant Cardone, in which he really talks about how you need to be obsessed with what you are doing in a feverish way. And he actually instills you with that passion. I think all of these books add at least 1% to my life. And assuming your life quotient is a structure of what your understanding of this world is, it's always important to keep adding, to keep chipping away. Not chipping away, but as such, but to keep adding to your overall understanding of the world. And this is why I'm so fond of reading. If I read, let's say, 20 books in a year, by my theory, I have added 1% to my life 20 times. And in the overall grander scheme of things, as time passes, more and more things get added, It's also important to read because, number one, when you read, you're on a journey by yourself. There is nobody watching you. You're not really trying to win anyone's accolade or appreciation. There are very few, maybe a handful percentage of people who actually read a book just to like it and to appreciate it because somebody told them it's a good book. That's not the case with book readers. That might be the case with films and music and popular culture and your opinions about whether Drake is better or the other gentleman. But in my opinion, reading is a very, very lonesome, very, very concentrated activity. And the ultimate person who's embarking on the journey is the sole recipient of whatever enlightenment they want to get. They make a map of that fiction in their brain. And I think that is very beautiful. Secondly, it tests your attention span. My attention span has been waning with 8 hours of screen on time on average. My attention span is definitely waning. I feel I have become this bug, and the screen, I'm like fixated by the screen. So fixated that I actually forget myself sometimes. So in order for me to snap out of that status quo, I feel it's quite important and nice to be reading a book because it's completely disconnected from my lifestyle. If you have not yet read Charles Dickens, I strongly urge you to read Charles Dickens. He has a book called David Copperfield, which you may or may not be aware of. If you read that book, I promise you, you will feel like you are reading English language for the very first time. And as you go through that book, the language, the English language presents in itself so many forays and directions to you that ultimately you are left stunned, illuminated, and gently it feels as if someone is massaging your nervous system. So why is it important for your English language to be good? As a side note, if you have a word for every feeling out there, you open, let's assume I tell you about the word nostalgia for the first time. Before you heard the word nostalgia, you didn't quite know how to, describe it, but now you do. Or if I talk about deja vu, Now you know how to describe it. Or if I use the word contrarian, if you know what the word contrarian means, it is somebody who often goes against the common grain or likes to be like that, likes to come at things with an outsider's point of view. I think I'm a bit of a rational contrarian, as I've often said. Words in themselves are so illuminating and so helpful. The better you are able to grasp and add to your vocabulary, I feel something very good happens. I'll give you another word, enigma. Enigma is a person or a thing that is difficult to understand. So book reading is something which is not very cool, it's not very hip, it's not gonna, make girls like you. And if you're a girl, it's not gonna make your boyfriend like you, or your potential boyfriend, or whoever you're trying to impress. If you're in school or college and you start reading right now, it'll be amazing. People often ask me, since I'm 40 years of age, if I could go back in time and do anything, or talk to my 20-year-old self, what I would tell him. And my answer always is, I would plead with me to read at least 20 books a year, because there's nothing which gives you a better return on your life investment than a book. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, sure, you can get in the stock market and get a financial return, but at the end of the day, you're going to die, So that money which you make is not really going to go with you. Whereas the wisdom and the wherewithal which you withhold within yourself, it's going to be with you forever. It's going to be a part of your life cycle. It's going to be a part of how you look at the world. And we're often confronted with this question of what it means to be alive and what is the purpose of this life. But maybe one of the purposes of life is to really understand everything that has been left over by the accumulated wisdom of mankind. I repeat, books are treasures. They are leftover remnants of the accumulated wisdom of mankind. I heard this somewhere. I don't know what my source was, but it really stuck with me, and so I present it to thee. So like I was saying, book reading is absolutely incredible. If you have not read, I'm going to recommend 10 books right off the top of my head right now for you. The Count of Monte Cristo, The Goldfinch, Shantaram, 10X Rule, The 5-Second Rule, The Power of Now, Metamorphosis, a book named Green Mile by Stephen King. And for 2 more books, recently I read Elon Musk's Biography. I think I'm a changed man. I'm a bit of a cyborg now, like Mr. Musk. I highly recommend that book. And lastly, I'm looking at a book right now. I'm looking at my book stack, and I can see a book named The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, or LaRue. This is written by a lady named V.E. Schwab. Absolutely fascinating voice in the book. You will feel as though you are ghosted, haunted, hunted. Absolutely incredible. So that was just a quick foray today as my 3rd podcast. I have upgraded the mic setup. I hope you're able to understand me, hear me better without some strange sounds. Thank you for listening. Bye.